Well, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video here. In this video, we're gonna be talking about obviously um Eddie Guerrero, right? And obviously, you guys can see by the title, um, we're gonna be talking about if Eddie Guerrero got murdered by Kevin Sullivan or somebody else. So be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as always, and be sure to hit the notification bell as well, as always as well. It would be much appreciated. But anyways, let's get into the video. So first things first, I've always believed that Eddie Guerrero got murdered as well, along with um, along with Chris Benoit, because again his death was like a little weird too. Like there's a lot of stuff that just don't add up. A lot of fishiness in the story. It just doesn't really add up at all. Like, so I just think that I don't know. I just feel like Eddie Guerrero, he got killed too by somebody. And I'm not even gonna say it's Eddie. I'm not even gonna say it was Kevin Sullivan, but it's a possibility because I think that they were trying to basically get Chris Benoit like depressed in a way. I guess that's what I mean. If you guys know what I mean. So I think they were trying to get Chris Benoit depressed so that he would so to get us to believe in that he killed his family. I think, you know, but we all know he didn't because the evidence is there. And again, Eddie Guerrero's death, that was suspicious as well. The fact that Chavo and again, I'm not saying that Chavo Guerrero killed Eddie Guerrero or anything like that. Not saying that. I'm just saying that his stories just don't add up. You know? That's all it is. I'm not saying that he murdered him. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying his stories don't add up. Everything that he's saying doesn't add up at all. Like, and there's a lot of weirdness in like when supposedly Eddie Guerrero was found slumped in the hotel room. Um, I guess he was slumped over in the bathroom. I believe he was slumped over. I guess. Oh, it's just weird, man. It's weird. You know how did he die exactly the same day when that Raw versus SmackDown game was released? Like that's too coincidental. Like, and also that game too predicted his death when it shows the Undertaker basically throwing him into the casket and whatnot. Um, so I definitely think that Eddie Guerrero was definitely murdered as well. He was definitely murdered along with Chris. Well, before Chris Benoit, but I think they were trying to put Chris Benoit in a state of depression. You know, they were trying to make him depressed. That's all they were trying to do. Because if you think about it, Biff Wellington, Chris Benoit's other friend died. I guess his body was found the same exact day the Chris Benoit tragedy happened, and that was Chris Benoit's best friend, and then Eddie Guerrero too was like his best friend. Like, so I think they tried to put him in a state of depression, and Eddie Guerrero got murdered too, either by Chris. I think that it's a possibility that Kevin Sullivan could have killed him too. That's just my take on that. I mean, who really knows what really happened? Nobody will ever know like 100%. But the evidence is there, it's the stories don't add up again. He's basically slumped over in the bathroom. Supposedly Chavo Guerrero, his stories don't add up either. And it's just like I don't really get like none of this stuff ever gets talked about. Nobody ever like questions this stuff, like stuff that doesn't add up. Same with the the Chris Benoit situation, where people don't even look into that. They don't even look into that really. Like they just say come to a conclusion and say that he died and that was it, or that he killed himself and whatever. And that, I guess, okay, he was hanging on he basically had a towel wrapped around his neck. Chris Benoit did, and why in the world would Chris Benoit care what he looks like when he dies? You know, that's just my question. And then also there was beer bottles and all that supposedly, like, and it's supposedly the phone that was used to call Chavo Guerrero, I guess, or message Chavo Guerrero was. They can't find those phones like anywhere. So this whole situation is weird. Eddie Guerrero's death is weird as hell as well. Like, I just don't understand like why people don't question this stuff. It's just weird. And you know what's also crazy, guys, is that they also predicted Eddie Guerrero's death on Monday Night Raw as well, just like they did Chris Benoit. And I don't know if you guys remember, but that segment when Eddie Guerrero was in the ring, he like fell over or whatever. He was basically supposedly having like a heart attack or something like that. Like, you know, that was them predicting his death, in my opinion. Like they predicted his death in Raw versus SmackDown 2005, and then he all of a sudden dies on the release date when that game is released. And then after that, they predict Chris Benoit's death. You know, they predict his death in that video in the Raw versus SmackDown 2007, I believe. So it's just weird. Absolutely just weird, you know? And none of this stuff is questioned. Like, nobody talks about any of this stuff. You know? And again, I'm not saying Chavo Guerrero, you know, did anything because, of course, I mean, there's a possibility that he could have, but I'm not saying that he did. I mean, his stories don't add up, but, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that he did because, again, you know, I'm not a person to, I'm not one to judge anybody based off what story they tell, you know? Who really knows what's going on? But I just think that his story stinks. It doesn't add up. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he murdered anybody. I'm not saying that at all. Now it's a possibility that Kevin Sullivan did, because again, Kevin Sullivan hated Chris Benoit. So I feel like he was trying to put Chris Benoit in a state of depression, you know, trying to make him miserable on purpose by taking out all of his friends. Because if you don't remember, again, Biff Wellington was found the same exact day in Alberta as the Chris Benoit incident. And that's a bit strange, right? I mean, that's strange to me that his body was found the same day. I think that's too much of a coincidence there. And I don't know. The only thing I would like to know is if I want to know, like, I just want to get to the bottom of all of it, you know? You know, I want to know who killed Eddie Guerrero. I want to know who killed the Benoit family. I want to know all that because I do believe 100%, and this is just my belief. Doesn't mean anybody else has to believe it, but I believe 100% that Eddie Guerrero got murdered. He got murdered, I feel. You know? And I feel like he did. Along with Chris Benoit. Like, Eddie Guerrero got murdered first. And then after that, the Benoit family got killed and murdered, all three of them. And then, man, that's basically it. So they don't really question they don't question absolutely nothing. They just come to a conclusion. They came to a conclusion that Eddie Guerrero had a heart attack and whatnot, you know? But that's not what it was. That's not what it was. Somebody did something to him, and I think Kevin Sullivan has something to do with his death as well. And again, that doesn't add up. Like that's the thing. That's the thing that I have a problem with the with the investigation with both deaths. It's like they just come to a conclusion and just say, "Oh well, he had a heart attack." They don't actually go in there and they don't look into it more. And it's just like a lot of this shit doesn't get questioned at all. And it's just all just strange that both of these guys, Eddie Guerrero died in 2005, right? And then 2 years later, the Chris Benoit incident happened, which is absolutely just weird. So my theory is that Kevin Sullivan had to wait 2 years to take out the Benoit family. That's just my theory. He took out Eddie Guerrero, and then he waited 2 more years to take out the Benoit family. So hey, we may never know what really happened, of course, but that's why I'm here. You're making videos, to speak the truth and speak, point out the stuff that I notice and point out the stuff that don't get talked about enough. So that's all I'm here to do. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to sit here and say that, Kevin Sullivan was the one I'm not saying that Chapo Guerrero was the one that killed him, because that's more than likely not true. And it's more likely that Kevin Sullivan did, because he was, he didn't like Chris Benoit and he was trying to take out all of his friends, one by one. So it was just like, I don't know. A lot of this stuff needs to be questioned. A lot of this stuff we need answers, these investigations need to be reopened. I think the Eddie Guerrero death needs to be reopened. They need to look more into it. And also the Chris Benoit death, because again, there's a lot of stuff that don't add up. And I'm not even here saying that. I do think that WWE had something to do with it as well. Like, it's not just Kevin Sullivan. I think it's the WWE in general. They wanted to make Chris Benoit miserable. They tried their best to make him, get him into the state, get him in a state of depression, so that he would, so that we would believe that he killed his family, when deep down we know he didn't. With all the evidence that we have, we're not that stupid. We look into stuff, and we're not dumb. And it's not because, and look, I understand people are saying that, oh well, you're gonna defend a murder and all that. I mean, that's always the incentive, That's what people always say. But they don't look into they don't look into it enough they just look and believe what the news tells them, And so that's basically what my problem is. And then the Eddie Guerrero situation, like, people just believe what the news says. Oh, he died of a heart attack. No, he didn't. He didn't die of a heart attack. I'm telling you that right now. So that's all I got in this video, guys. Be sure to comment down below as always, and give me your guys' thoughts, and hit the subscribe button as well. So until next time, see you in the next one. Peace.